focus on underneath what it really takes to reach and maintain consistent profitability moving forward. What's beneath all the other stuff and what we must do. You could take 1,000 traders and they could listen to this show or any Trading Ascension show, and those 1,000 traders could have 1,000 different financial markets and 1,000 different strategies, and they could all benefit from this information. I personally think that's incredible. I'm so thankful to fill this space. And this is not only what works for me and others, but will work for you. And I'm thankful for the support, the kind words, the email letters I get. So you master this stuff and you'll always be headed toward the top of your game. You'll have an edge in that market, and you are that edge. There are so many strategies, and the fact that people win in the markets with various strategies, that lets us know that that's not where the sauce is. So yeah, you need a strategy, you need, news. You have to take that strategy through the process of creating it into an edge, and ultimately you have to understand that you are that edge. Strategy alone isn't enough because you are the operator. You're the operant power. If you focus on being a successful operator of any system, and that system isn't complete garbage, you're going to see growth in your trading. And even if it is garbage, you'll still see limited growth in your trading because you are growing. And, I've never had exceptional talent in anything, honestly, but I've excelled at a lot of things. And it's because at a young age, I was able to clearly see parts that in some made the whole or the desired outcome. In sports, there's a saying that says you have to be the starter to be a starter. And this means if you aren't the number one person, you need to watch and you need to close the gap in the skills that number one person has. You need to be that person so you can be the starter. Compared to most of the traders I've interviewed on previous shows, those I know personally, those you see on the web, those, who I've talked to from anywhere from 30 years experience all the way up to 60 plus years experience. When I interviewed Larry last year on the show, compared to those people, I'm lousy, right? I'm inexperienced, but I would put my growth plan up against any traders. The reason is the passion that I have for growth. And I'm sure, one day I'll monetize the podcast, YouTube, whatever. But for right now, I like being able to speak freely. I don't have to say what's flashy, what's cool. I say what I truly believe is the truth. So funny story on that. So I had a friend, and he took a look at one of my early YouTube videos, and he's like, man, it's like NPR, man. It's all this science and spirituality. Like, you need to watch a video. I just got out of this. You need to have a video like the rabbit hole I just got out of. You need to talk about how much money you made in an hour in a day, and you need a flashy new car video. And I laughed out loud because the thing is that all of that has its place. It's just not here. Because sometimes me too, we need motivation from seeing others' success. Some of you are haters and you see other success and you want to compete with them, whatever it is. Some of you need a new strategy. Whatever you need, Trading Ascension aids that information and energy with action steps to internalize it, make it you, and the things that are foundational to all of that applies to all of it. And I've absorbed so much wisdom from the guests in the past 3 seasons. And from time and money I've invested, I've grown from that. And, outside of necessities, the food, the home, kid, my biggest life spend in all my years on earth, a vast majority of my money, outside necessities, is to developing my mind and my spirit. And this is what I know from scientific study. 1963, some researchers, they gathered a group of students and they had a group of rats. Now the rats were to go through a maze. All the rats were the same, right? Just a bunch of rats. But the students were told that there were two groups of rats. They were told that there were a maze bright group and a maze dull group. So these rats over here, hey, they're maze bright. They can go through this maze super easy in a breeze. These ones, these are dumb rats, right? They're not gonna really get to the maze. The expectation changed the behavior of these rats. The result from this study determined that the students unconsciously influenced the performance of the rats in order to fit the expected results. So later, this study was conducted on the students themselves. Same results, stating expectations are always met. These types of results and studies have been replicated numerous times. And over the years, science tells us that it's a fact that humans more times than not reach the expectations set out for them or that they set it on them themselves. So my question for you in 2022 is, what do you expect from yourself this year? What's your self-talk? And when you lose a trade, that self-talk comes out, doesn't it? What do you expect? What does your circle expect from themselves, which ultimately is what they're going to expect from you? So your expectations, your circle's expectations, you need to check those. It's not enough to just say, hey, I expect this. We have to find ways to put the rubber to the road. And here at Trading Ascension, did I say Ascension? I said it, and I didn't know if I really said it. Felt weird. Anyway, here at Trading Ascension, I want to share the most profound science and research-backed spirituality, ascension information to provide you with action steps to push you, to take you, to pull you towards your personal greatness. You'll be uplifted. You'll be able to self-reflect. You'll be able to ascend in your life and in your trading. 2022, welcome to Trading Ascension. Yeah. So here's the action step. How do we get traction on the path to improving our expectations in 2022? This is what I believe is fundamental and what the remainder of this episode and the next two, creating a 3-part series, will be focused on. Number 1 is logging trades. You'll be encouraged and energized to take this to a new level this year. Number 2 is breathing exercises. Every trading coach, every trading psychologist has spoke about this one, and the ones I had on the show, of course, they have. So I'll go into some powerful insight that I have in this area. Number 3 is a clear mental picture of success. Now, we talk about that often on this show, but hoo-wee, you're gonna be blown away when you absorb that information. I want each of these steps to be of the utmost importance, and that's why I'm doing this in a 3-part series. So let's deep dive. First off, to grow your maximum trade potential this year, to reach your expectations, you have to log your trades. Now, for some of you, that's obvious. For some of you, it's not. For all of you, here's my case for why. When you log trades, not only do you grow faster at your trading craft, but you also navigate the valleys and the lows better and swifter. You build and you grow courage and integrity. Because one of the hardest things to do when it comes to, our pride is to write down the details of a losing trade. Your ego wants you to move on quick. Like, hey, that should never happen, player. Keep it moving. And that's what leads to revenge trading, blowing accounts, and in life in general, just terrible results when you're trying to not improve on the past, but cover up the past. Our psychology for avoiding pain makes us either want to trade again to eliminate the mistake, or, as crazy as it sounds, just blow the account just so the pain can be finally over. And a lot of the trading psychology books, they mention that. You may think, why would I want to blow the account? But you don't want to. This is the subconscious reptilian brain. It's the fight or flight. It's the avoiding of pain. It's the path to easing pain. And that path is swift and powerful, especially when you have no control over it. So logging a trade helps avoid common mistakes, the FOMO, the fear, and the ego. And the fear and the ego are two things that we must overcome to be successful as a trader. Now, next off, when you log your trades, when you're able to look back at trades and have an emotion-free look at your performance, it's powerful. This is what all pros do in performance sports, like trading or other pro sports. In college, not only do you watch game film, every day before practice, you watch yesterday's practice film. My old college was dealt a huge loss in the 1AA national championship, or whatever they call the division now. I went with some friends to a local, sports bar, watched it. Oh, it was doom and gloom. Anyway, logging trades, right? So when you're logging consistently, you can improve consistently. You can get a look at what you're truly doing. There's a saying that Big Brother doesn't lie. And Big Brother is the video, the picture, the data that you wrote down, or you write down. So when you do that, when you take pictures and you have videos of your entry, you get a clear view of what happened. Circumstance and emotion free. Away from the, at the time I thought the market was doing this or it was gonna do that, right? You get that clear view of exactly what you did, what did and what didn't work. When you don't know what's wrong with your execution because you don't track your trades, and when I say, tracking the entry, the in-trade management, the exit, when that's not tracked, I can promise you that more times than not, you'll always default to, I need to win more. Ask any successful trader and they'll tell you that that's not always the answer, believe it or not. It's only when you have mastered self and your execution can you implement real change, because the input then becomes consistent. You can't upgrade a system with random input. Only when the input into the market is consistent can you realistically recognize what the true problem areas are. So imagine you're trying to bake the perfect cake. So you just cook 10 cakes. Each cake is different. Some more vanilla extract, some less milk, some more flour, others only egg whites. And you don't write any of this down as to what's different or what adjustments you made. And then you have 10 cakes and no clue on how to improve the taste. And that's how, some of y'all's trading is. And then you just say, I need more frosting. Nah, it's not the frosting. But think about it. If you cooked one cake, you wrote down the recipe, tasted it, maybe had a better cook taste it, a mentor, and then adjusted the recipe clearly, without a doubt, after 10 cakes in that process, you'd be a better cake maker. So, metaphor aside, I'm saying that trading growth is done a lot faster when you log trades. The goal is to have a true comparison of your entry, your trade management, and your exit execution compared to your success criteria. This is the foundation which is, usually the strategy that you learned or borrowed. But that comparison, then you start seeing the gaps. You start seeing what's working, what's not working. Be professional. Take the game serious. Log your trades. Any information that is important to your entry, your execution, and your trade management, your exit is important. So you may say, where do I start, Jason? Give me those action steps. That's a great question. And I can't answer that for you, but here's something to consider. Here's me personally. My first year, and let me say this first, my first year and a half, I used an entry checklist to make sure I was following my principles. I had a dry erase marker, my rules printed out with a clear plastic sheet over them. And I would use the dry erase marker to check them off to make sure I was entering the market and I could commit my rules to memory. Then I outgrew it, right? So you don't always have to do that, but it's a great place to start. Now, after that, I logged the trade. The date, the hour, the minute, and the second my market order was filled with the quantity that I entered the market in. I take notes of the entry and the exit price. And this information helps me, find it on the chart later. And that helps me better communicate to a mentor or a peer if I need a second eye on the trade. I write down the name of the trade according to the name in my playbook. Make sure I'm sticking to the script. I draw on the chart with my risk management tool. So later on, I can clearly see support and resistance within my target and stop loss area. I take a pretty large screenshot. You want the market context. You don't want just hey, this is the pattern itself. You want to see what the market's doing in a good amount of time before and after the trade. So zoom out a little bit, get a large picture. Now, this might take a while at first, but two things I want to say about that. Why are you rushing back to the market first? Is your perfect setup really popping off that often? Logging a trade builds patience and it eliminates that FOMO. Two, you start to become more intimate with your strategy as you learn to log faster because you know what you're looking for faster. You're getting those motions down. So you train yourself to quickly log, and this transfers to being able to quickly see your ideal setups. The first year, I also journaled as part of the log. And I stopped doing that, but it's a great practice to build self-awareness. I started to journal because as a new trader, you have to trade any trade that resembles your perfect setup. Then as you grow, you cut the fat of what doesn't work, right? This is a reduction business. And cutting the fat of what doesn't work includes any factors leading up to the trade that don't serve you. So a journal is a great way to recognize things like your pre-trade food, anything you consume, coffee types, nootropic types, sleep amount, morning routine. I'm trying to think of the episode number. I don't know, but if you go listen to the Popovich episode, you'll hear him talk about his morning checklist, and it's awesome. And I can't think of it, but awesome. Go check it out. And that's really helpful. But after I was locked in on those factors and I knew, how the sleep I needed, everything leading up to turning on the computer, then I stopped journaling and I just wrote the market context details and everything I mentioned above. Now, I still do journal, / self-reflection. I do have that process. It's just not directly related to my trading, just to be clear, because journaling is powerful. So I do want to say that. Now, just a bit earlier, I mentioned being able to better navigate the lows and the valleys of your trading when you're logging. And this is because of the confidence that you build when you have data. When you start to correct things and then you start to have data that supports your growth, your confidence grows. This is my strong opinion that there is very little chance a trader with no data can get out of a downtime as fast as a trader with data. No way. Simply because, neuroscience and spirituality studies explain to us that mindful experience as well shows us that when we change our emotional states, the memories associated with that state go away. So this is what I mean. Think about it. If you're mad at someone at that moment, it's pretty hard to remember all the great things they've done. You're just not in that state, right? It takes some effort to pull those memories because of the energy you're currently in, right? You're in that place of negative memories. So when you're taking losses in trading, which of course is part of the game, you can't remember if you're good enough to keep going sometimes, especially if you're a new trader, because you'll have that negative mind chatter. I can't do this. Only the lucky ones can do this. It's too hard. Nobody can do this. But if at that moment you can look and see evidence to the contrary of those current negative beliefs, you have data saying, wow, I have hundreds of trades showing that I can do this. You can get back on the horse faster. When we first start, we have, strong beliefs that it's possible to be a successful trader. But until we actually do it, at that point, the full scope of confidence is unleashed. So having evidence of success, it helps you pick yourself back up. It also helps you have more of a clear mental picture of success, which is fundamental to reaching your trading goals. And that, along with breathing, is what the next 2 episodes are going to be about. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about part 2, breathing exercises. And I honestly experienced one of the most profound growths of my life in trading, no cap, when I understood and implemented the information I'm going to share with you in the next episode. And I'll keep you guessing because I'm on the edge on if we should go to breathing or to the clear, concise mental picture. So I'll weigh that over. Either way, you don't want to miss the next episode. I'll see you in the next show.